Guys, welcome back to Global Education Zone, and today we are going to be dealing with basic Excel formulas. Now, this is kind of like the major part of this course, and we are dealing with the basics of Excel formulas. Now, I want to talk about formulas. Formulas, if you've ever done mathematics in schools, they are like all those equations, those ones that have your left and right sides of the equations, and then which you balance by inputting some particular values. But in Excel, we don't deal with those left and right. We just deal with a right side of the equation. So our cell is actually the left side, but it's not visible in that equation. We only need the right side of the equation. So we just say equals to, and then we put the condition, which is those values, those variables, those terms that will make up the equation. And then when we type enter, bravo, the cell becomes updated with that right side of the equation. So that is simply what Excel formulas are. So all you need to do is you type equals to and type a condition. An example of that is this. Now in this column, this column 3, let me type a column name. Let me have the name as let's say bonus. So assuming I'm a teacher, I'm a teacher of all these students. So you have these students as Anthony, Ben, Kabir, Maxwell, and that. Now each of these students, they have their corresponding scores in their examination. Now today I want to give them a bonus because they have been good students, but not every one of them. I want to give only 3 of them bonuses. So I want to give a bonus of 5 marks to the top 3 students. So all I need to do is, first of all, I need to identify the top 3 students. Now if I identify the top 3 students, I can now begin to assign their bonus. So now in this case, this data has been organized in terms of alphabetical order. But now I want to reorganize them with respect to their scores, so I can start sorting them. Now, if I wanted to sort, I won't use this A to Z anymore. I will need to sort in terms of size. So let's go to sort and filter. This part. So this is part of this. So I can see it now. This is sort and filter part. So I can click on that. I can now click sort from largest to smallest or smallest to largest. So I want the biggest, the best student to be first. So I'll start from largest to smallest. But before I do that, I need to also carry these other rows along. So let's see if I actually sort this from largest to smallest. Will it carry the names along? So let's check that. So it's Excel is very smart. It asks me the data outside your current selection won't be sorted. What do you want to do? Expand the selection or continue with current selection? Now, if I decide to continue with the current selection, that means it's only these numbers that will be sorted. So let's try that out. So now in this case, we actually expanded the current selection. So let's select it again. Sort from small to large. So now if I decide to continue with current selection and I sort, it is going to sort them without respect to their actual names. So you can see that the only thing that got sorted are the numbers, and the names have been misplaced. So now NAT, which used to have a score of its now has a score of 23. If this happened in real life, that would be a really big bummer. So we'll press Ctrl Z to go to undo that action, or you can just go to the quick access toolbar and then undo from here. So now we'll go back to that sort, and now sort from largest to smallest. This time around we'll expand the selection, so that means this will include the names. So I will sort everything along these 5 rows from 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's very useful. And now you can see that NAT now has its own original score of 89, and so do the rest. Now the next step, we need to give each of the top 3 students bonuses. Now there are ways to distinguish these top 3 without even needing to sort, and that is under conditional formatting. We'll be talking about that in separate episodes. But let's talk about the bonus. Now we need the formulas to do this for me. So if I could just add them manually, 89 plus 5 by giving them each of them a 5 marks and enter. But now you can see that nothing happens. It's just this 89 plus 5. So it doesn't make any sense to have it in a pre-calculated form. So I'll press, I'll delete that. Then I would need a formula for that. So and also another way of doing this is I could have said 89 plus 5. So 89 plus 5, that's 89 plus 5, that's 94. So I could just write 94 and keep calculating them manually with my head. So, but that would be quite impractical. That's not very practical. So, the best way of doing this is using Excel's formula. Now, we need to start with an equal to sign, and then the next step is we insert a condition. So let's start with an opening bracket. So your formulas are always contained in brackets. Now basically that if they are compound, if they contain compound statements rather, or if they are simple formulas, you can do without the brackets. Now next we have this 89. Now we want to write the 89. We can say 89. So we just take this code here and we add plus 5. So then when you click enter, it automatically updates. Now we could do that for each of these cells, and that's also good, but the better way of doing this is making use of a reference. So we have to reference each of the cells now. So let's click this cell again, and this time around we'll be affecting the formula bar. This is the formula bar here. So right now this is the formula bar. I'm at the formula bar now. Now this formula bar, we need to update this formula. I want it to be dependent on another cell. So in other words, we are referencing another cell to the value of this cell here. So in this case, what we'll do here is that actually these are alphabets, but by next episode I will update that. So I actually change them to numbers. Now the next thing we'll do is we'll go to this cell. Now instead of writing it now, we want to name it with respect to the actual cell. So this is cell. So actually I need to change this format. So we could create it as a sum. So Ctrl Z. That wouldn't work. Now I want to reference this cell. Yeah. So all I need to do is I could just, instead of using the formula bar anyway, I can just click the cell, press equals to again, and then I would open the parenthesis. Yeah. And then I'll click on this cell here. So we have that that's the name of this cell. So this is actually known as R1C1 reference referencing. I can actually you can actually edit that later. So then we need to add 5 to that score plus 5. Then we'll close the parenthesis. So we have 94. So now I can see that these numbers, they're actually confusing. So I'll go to the Excel preferences, and I actually did that by mistake. So I'll check that box. So now we'll be returning to the normal way. So let me see. Alright, so one. Okay, that's good enough. So we are back to the letters for the column name. So now in this case, you can see that in the formula bar we have the cell B2. So because this is the cell we reference, cell B2, that means whatever is in cell C2 will be the sum of cell B2 and 5. So now the amazing thing about Excel is that you can actually copy that formula downwards. So you just put the mouse pointer at the bottom right corner of the cell, and then you drag it downwards. So you can see that there's a faint border around the next cell. So when we release, we'll have 72. And the amazing thing is that it doesn't just copy the value; it copies the formula. So in this case, when we click cell C3, you have now, it has changed to, the address has now changed to B3 plus 5. So now this is B3. We are referencing B3. That's B3, which is 67, and add 5 to it. That's 72. So now if you drag it down again for the rest 3, we'll see that it actually updates according to the values. So this is what is known as relative cell referencing. We'll be talking about that in the next episode. And this is the wonders of formulas. Now these formulas, there are a lot of things you can do with them. You can use them to calculate a lot of things, and they will save time. They will save the stress of having to do them one by one. So this is just one of the basics of Excel formulas. Now you can also create a lot of formulas. You can use, but just know that you need to start with equals to. So I can say equals to, if you want to make use of numbers and not just references. So equals to 56 plus 45. So without using the calculator, it has calculated it as 101 for us. So that is one. This is the normal basic formulas, and this is one form of formulas. Or you can also decide to reference in terms of other cells on that same sheet, and even on other sheets. In subsequent episodes, we are going to deal with how to reference data in other sheets. So, but I hope you've enjoyed and gained something from this episode. Next episode will be going much deeper into Excel. Thanks for watching.